So I've always wondered what really goes into designing a board like this. Maybe not this complex, but something similar. I have dabbled with some proto boards in the past, and you all know that I'm pretty comfortable with breadboards, so I figured why not try to make my own PCB? After all, my sponsor is a PCB company. You'll find out pretty quickly that I was a little ambitious and I definitely had to change up a few things. But I guess you'll just have to see for yourself. I haven't ever designed a real schematic before. I mean, you've seen my videos of me dabbling with simulators, but it's not a real schematic, and I've noticed that there's really an art to this. I mean, if you look at other schematics online, they look a whole lot better than mine. At first, I thought the best thing to design was my ALU. I do want to come back to this, but holy moly, was this extremely ambitious as a very first project. I will just cut to the chase and let you all know that I quickly abandoned this after I started designing the PCB. I figured, let's start with something a little easier. I have this clock circuit that I've often used, and it may look pretty familiar to you. This is pretty much a simplified version of Ben Eater's clock, so I figured why not turn this into a PCB. I'm giving full credit to Ben Eater for this schematic, as I pretty much looked at his and made my own, so if there's any issues, let me know. I try to take note of why things look the way they do. Compared to my ALU schematic, I can see why my first attempt was so sloppy. I found that one of the most difficult things was footprinting. I did some research and found that for the future, learning to make my own footprints would actually be a pretty good idea. Anyway, after all of this design work, I have a pretty decent schematic. A few things that I learned was that you should have a VCC and ground per component. It really declutters much of that workspace and it really helps out. Second, make sure that you can see where your traces are going. It is very important. Don't just throw them around, put them here and there. It just doesn't work. It becomes almost unreadable. You guys can also see that I put the rest of my unused gates components over here. I felt the need to make sure they were grounded in case that shortens the lifespan of the PCB. Okay, I will admit, this really took me a while to get here. It took some practice, but honestly, it wasn't as scary as I originally thought. I definitely need some more practice, but it really isn't too bad. I wish you guys could have seen my face when I discovered what a via was. Ever since when I was a kid, when I look at a circuit board, I always picture a city where the components are funny looking buildings and the traces are like the highways. I was always so fascinated by them as a kid, so it really sparked something for me when I'm making one myself. So, I guess it's pretty easy to say that I enjoyed the PCB design process. It was very soothing for me. I really enjoyed drawing the traces and adding vias, especially knowing that this is exactly what it's going to look like as a fully printed circuit board. I'll be honest, I don't really have a whole lot of notes about the design process, but what I found interesting is how the traces are often found with 45-degree bends. It really makes for a neat look. I heard that this was a thing because sharp bends can cause signal disruptions, but apparently this may not be much of an issue anymore due to modern technology. However, I did notice that there's more of a direct path sometimes, which means that there is less distance that the current needs to flow. Of course, once I was done designing it, I had to do this thing called a copper pour. If you do not know what that is, it's a layer of copper that fills all of the blank space on your board. What is neat is that I can assign it to a pin, most commonly the ground pin, so I didn't even have to connect those traces, which is so cool. I guess at this point, it is done. I suggest going through and making sure everything works. I looked at my traces, but I honestly rushed myself a little bit, and that's a little stressful. Also, I would verify that you have everything that you need on your silkscreen because, of course, when I got my PCB, I noticed that I missed one of the most important things. You didn't think that I was going to design a PCB and not have it printed. No better place to get it printed than with this video sponsor, Ivan. It really wasn't too hard to order. First things first, you need to export your PCB as a Gerber file. And once you have one of those, the rest is on Ivan's site. If you use my link in the description below, you'll be met with this page. It informs you that you are eligible for some nice welcome credits, $60 off of your very first PCB. Once you click the Get Your Welcome Credits button, you will be prompted to create your account. Personally, I like the Sign In with Google feature. Next, you can scroll down here to PCB Prototype and select Quote Now. You can select PCB Assembly if you would like. However, note that this option will not grant you the rewards from earlier. From this page, you can simply upload your Gerber files that we exported at the beginning of this segment, and it will autocomplete everything on this page. They really make it easy for you. Check everything over to make sure it's all correct, and then click Add to Cart. From here, select your PCB and start your ordering process. This is just like any other site, so I'll not guide you through this part as I don't want to give you my address or billing information. Once you put in your shipping and billing information, it should be in production once you go to your orders. And then we wait. It's here! It's here! It's finally here! Whoops. So far, the packaging looks great. They're airtight, and I'm honestly having a hard time trying to get this open. And here we are. Look at these. They look so good. I'm honestly amazed. I mean, what I've been working on for the past few weeks is right here in my hands. After looking over, I may have forgot to put my input-output pins on that silk screen. Whoops. This is about as far as I'm going to be able to make it in this video, and I'm very sorry. I actually purchased a bunch of helpful soldering things, and they're here, but I forgot to order the potentiometer that I needed. Don't worry, I will make up a follow-up video of showing everything working. It'll probably come in the form of a short. I do have 4 extra boards, and I'm curious what I should do with them. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas. And with all of that, I hope you enjoyed this journey just as much as I did. I know it was pretty short for you, but it really didn't need to be any longer besides maybe soldering the board. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Ciao!